Don't understand why you're 40 years old playing this game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop
Probably
playing games?
no
What's the age? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college?
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm out of high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But
well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Alright, then.
Be like a fucking collection site. And
Hello, everybody. So welcome to, sorry, John, I'm starting to show.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
Welcome to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy. And
Yeah,
this
don't
is
mind
the
me.
Week
I'm
in
sitting here
Culture.
talking about the benefits of Rumble.
Yeah. And yeah, glad to have you guys join us. Hopefully you are watching on Rumble. I see that a Norwegian Black Templar is there in the Rumble chat, and he's already subbed to Problematic White Guy. Thank you. But yeah, so this is the Week in Culture, where we discuss the week in culture. Sometimes late to the party, but I would imagine that being like more precise on how you talk about things is more important than being first. So we have a lot to go through. I don't know if we're going to get to everything because I have so much that I want to get into this week. But I guess first things first, how are you doing, John?
Oh, awesome as always. The move to Rumble is going quite well. I'm already near 60 followers over here. I've got like 4 channels that I'm getting set up, moving everything over from YouTube. I got a laptop and a webcam getting sent out to me, so I can actually have a more productive output again. So yeah, I really can't complain about too much. So yeah, it's been an awesome week. People have been really supportive of Toasty and I moving over here after the organized harassment campaign, as a Rolling Stone journalist would call it. I suppose journalist is more appropriate. Yeah, who
press the
tried to get us. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she tried to get us platform, but only managed to get us demonetized. But we've already rebounded back from that from the move over here. So yeah, Rumble's where it's at, everybody. Especially if you're an aspiring content creator that's new to it. There's no reason to try to do the shit on YouTube where they're just going to exploit you as a creator, your audience, and even the advertisers that they built their whole scheme around. So, Rumble's where it's at. There's a pinned link up the top. If you're watching us over on YouTube, you should join us over here. It's colorful. It's not a gray ghetto, the way that YouTube tends to be. So yeah, no, things are great, but we should probably get into it. So there's so much to cover.
Yeah, there is a lot to cover. So let's go ahead and get started. But please watch me over on Rumble. I am going to continue to stream on YouTube. One of the advantages is the vertical format, which lets me, sometimes reach new people through their mobile layout. But maybe Rumble will get on board with that as well, and I can just do that as well. It sounds like
they're doing all sorts of stuff. Tom B, he's in contact with a lot of the Rumble devs, and he's even working on something for the FFS Discord to hopefully get it so that we can start tracking channels on Rumble a little bit easier.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be good because I stream to Rumble as well, and my Rumble audience has been growing. I mean, I'm it's not bad, but yeah. Anyway, but let's get into the stories. Yeah, please share the stream around and give me a like on whatever you're watching, wherever you are. All right. So with all that,
sharing is caring.
Get into it. Yes, because sharing is caring. That's correct.
Yeah. If you are watching on X, I posted a link. You can repost that one if you don't want to make one of your own.
So we got to talk about Schedule 1. It's the first thing that I wanted to do. It's a positive story. It's an uplifting story. It's a heartfelt, warm, wholesome story about drug dealing. And
yeah, I've been calling it GTA South Park.
Yeah, GTA South Park. But why is it so interesting? Why is it so encouraging? Well, Schedule 1, pictured here, is a drug dealing simulator developed by solo creator Tyler under the name TVGS. Has become a breakout hit since its early access launch on Steam in March of 2025, rocketing past 400,000 concurrent players and selling at an estimated 2 million copies. 2 million copies sold, by the way, not players, sold copies. All right.
Right.
Placing
Big-
it amongst, yeah.
Big
it's
difference between this and other things.
Important distinction.
Yeah, very important. One actually leads to profits. The other one just leads to fucking, narrative control.
Yeah. Cope.
Yes.
So anyway, placing it among Steam's top 30 games of all time. So it made the list of Steam's top 30 games of all time. Its success stems from a viral mix of hands-on crafting minigames, a Moorish gameplay loop, and multiplayer co-op that encourages experimentation, like mixing different kinds of drugs to turn customers green or incinerating bodies for cash. Amplified. So it's a drug dealer simulator, but it's very like over the top. Okay. And it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it has multiplayer, which like is wild that a single person, a single developer with just working on by themselves could create something like this. And I think that's really worthy of praise. But so you can mix drugs to get different effects, like make customers turn green, or I think there's one where they can like spontaneously combust. I'm not really sure. Amplified by big streamers like Queso and TikTok's grassroots content, with a modest price point, $20, and monthly updates planned for over a 2-year early access period. Schedule 1 has captured players' imaginations by focusing on fun, tactile mechanics over bloated productions, proving that a single developer can outshine larger studios through creativity and community engagement. In stark contrast, so like let's put this in context with other games of much larger scales that were, part of like long beloved franchises that no one thought could be touched. Comparing it to massive AAA games like South of Midnight or Concord, for example. At least they were promoted in this way.
Or as I like to call it, south of profitability.
Yeah, they have flopped spectacularly in 2024 and 2025, highlighting the pitfalls of let's say, over ambition and misaligned priorities in big budget development. But also look at the sales for, well, there's like a list, right? We got Avowed, we got Dragon Age the Veilguard, we got Assassin's Creed Shadows. The list goes on, right? There's a lot of, we got Dustborn, I mentioned Concord, which
Star
basically
Wars Outlaws, a lot of them connected to
10 days.
Ubisoft.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, exactly. And people don't really have the Saints Row reboot, and people don't have like really like large hopes for these like well-known franchises. But here, out of nowhere, comes this game, Schedule 1, which basically just exploded on the scene. And it's not even necessarily the content of the game that makes it successful. It's actually the way that the developer, I was going to say developers, and then I have to keep reminding myself it's one guy.
Just one guy. He is planning on hiring more people now, though, to work on things.
He's probably going to need that because he probably didn't expect this was going to become as big as it did.
Looking at a team about 5 to 6 people in total, but it shows like all the difference that makes to have a high level of talent, skill, and ability, and a low level of ambition and expectation, and just doing something because you have artistic integrity, because you love it.
Oh, you love it. Yeah, I think this was a labor of love. I think that he was thinking, I want to make this, right?
Yep.
So Furious Dan in the chat says, good morning, Furious Dan. Saltpeter Taffy says, Rumble Solidarity Brothers. He's on Rumble. What's up, man? Thank you for going over on Rumble to check this out. Art4 says, a lot of the great TTRPGs were crafted by a single or created by a single person. That is correct. Yes. And we've forgotten that because it's love, right? Orange Avenger says, what's cooking here? Oh, neat. Talking about absolute dog shit games you're talking about I think he came in when we were talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows and
Right.
Dragon Age and Avowed. Yes, they are dog shit games. They were very expensive to make dog shit games too. Like probably some of them were probably close to $500 million. And it wasn't only the games they were investing in, like Concord. They had a whole thing planned for it. It was good. There was going to be movies and shows and books. Like they were building, I don't know, like a brand, a franchise brand that was going to transcend gaming. And the whole thing just collapsed on itself. And it was, I think that part of it is hubris. Part of it is an environment of toxic positivity, which emerges. The toxic positivity emerges from environments or climates that are all about like, you know, all voices are equal. Everybody has something useful to contribute. Like, no, you can't deny, you should not like, you know, turn somebody down no matter how bad their idea is, you know, and treating everyone like essentially like interchangeable cogs in a machine. Because like
Even
when
the
you
audience.
even the audience, when you think of individuals as always being equal, like we're all just the same, then we become interchangeable, which of course is a in terms of like your inevitable failure, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you have essentially made the mistake of excluding talented people and devoted people and people that will work hard on your project, and from the people who are just there to like get a paycheck, or they're lazy, or they're entitled, or they just want to make everything like worse because they're narcissists that can't help but make everything about themselves. And that's how you end up with games like South of Midnight. And well, South of Midnight might not even be entirely fair, because from what I hear, it's not a bad game. But the problem is that it's not a good game either. It's just kind of mid and expensive. But and it's going to be forgotten. Like in another week, no one's going to be talking about it, because it doesn't have lasting you know, power. It doesn't have the ability to last much longer.
My biggest one of my biggest bugbears about that game is they want to like emulate stop motion animation, and maybe that might work in certain things, but not in video games, because when your big, like, you know, artistic kind of enhancement is to make it look like you're having buffer issues and you're having like a frame rate drop, doesn't really actually enhance the experience.
There's another way to do that. Like what you could have done. I don't think anyone would do this now, because everything has to be done with polygons. But like back in the day, you know, there were around the so like just a little quick. Yeah, I wasn't Clay Fighter's not the. I was gonna mention it, but I was thinking more like Skull Monkeys or the Neverhood.
Yep.
So like and those were created by Doug TenNapel, who has basically like been unpersoned by every industry because he's right wing. But Doug TenNapel, creator of Earthworm Jim, before Earthworm Jim was a thing, he was the creative mind behind Skull Monkeys, which is a really difficult but fun as hell platformer with some of the best music in video games. And he also there was a prequel to that. I think there was like an adventure game on PC called The Neverhood. And those were all claymation. And there's lots of other Clay Fighter too, but Clay Fighter, it was just its problem was not the claymation. Its problem was the mechanics. but I mean, Clay Fighter is also. Oh, you know what else actually had stop motion? Well, that was a fighting game. Was the Primal Rage. That was Primal Rage was done with stop motion, and then they photographed the stop motion and they used it to make the animation. I don't think people would do this today, because I know that people would say it's because the customers want like 3D graphics, but that's not true. Like 2D pixel. Yeah, 2D pixel-based games are still really popular. You know, people still talk about like, I don't know, what was the one, I never played it, but there's the one game where you can genocide everybody, and there's a lot of like friendship mechanics or something, and it was really big on PC, and it had these extremely like simplistic looking graphics.
I can't quite.
I know. Yeah, it's
Well, Broforce is a big game.
Broforce
TV
is
that's-
fantastic. I love
Yeah.
Broforce.
And to what you're saying too, like my good friend Sonia Lisette, you know, she mod of mods around the YouTube sphere and
Yeah.
now here on Rumble as well. I mean, she plays exclusively old retro games.
Undertale's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, Undertale.
But yeah, she plays exclusively old retro games on her game streams, and she gets, you know, really good views and things like that. Her birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, I play retro games all the time, and yeah, those are great. And a lot of people love like Metal Slug. Like those games are still hot. So yeah, I mean, I think it's an excuse, but I feel like we've gone on a bit of a tangent. But like, South of Midnight is like a mid game, but like a lot of these other ones, like I can't even remember the names of them anymore. What was the one? Unknown 9 Awakening?
Yes. Unplayed.
Oh God, yeah. The Unknown 9 are the 9 people that played the game. Like
right.
Half of which probably were on the dev team or worked in the journalism.
The only
space.
person I know who actually played it was Hypnotic, and he was doing it to go through and show how buggy the bitch was.
Yeah. So you know, I just wanted to draw attention to Schedule 1. It looks like people are having a blast. I actually you can download a demo. They call it the free sample. I think you can still download it. I have it, and I did a little part of a little playthrough to show it off on my channel. You can find it. It's just me going through the beginning. I basically ran out of money, but so I'd have to start over or collect a lot of trash and recycle it so that I can get going, because it's not like, you know, it's not like you can't, you know, like pick up the pieces if you make some missteps. But I'm curious to see how the co-op is implemented and where this game goes from there. But what it shows is that, number one, you don't have to be part of a giant quadruple A gaming studio like Ubisoft to be successful. And number two, that's not necessarily what gamers want. Like like with Steam being the way it is, you have no idea like how to predict what gamers are going to be drawn to. So Schedule 1 was a surprise hit, but anything on Steam is potentially a surprise hit if it's fun to play. And it basically, word of mouth is how these things get out there. Marketing is done organically, essentially. And I think that's the way it should be. So John, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that before we move on.
Well, no, I mean, it's I think we're pretty clear cut on it, but yeah, it's I would much rather play a game that is about the game and not about highlighting all the DEI hires. You know, Assassin's Creed is now infamously known for having a 2-hour and 6-minute long end credits scene. You know, like,
oh
that's,
my god! The end credits is like a movie. Yeah,
it's a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah. And I thought Metal Gear Solid 4 was bad. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, let us know what you guys think about that. I saw somebody in the comments, Norwegian Black Templar said, because he's been playing it. He said, I made a meth blend in Schedule 1 with the Tropic Thunder effect. I named it Full Retard. so you can name your drugs, which is that sounds like fun. Like, honestly, that sounds kind of fun. I imagine that it's going to come under fire, but because that's the thing too, is that people, like, there was this lawsuit, or not lawsuit, but there was a potential for a lawsuit with another game called Drug Dealer Simulator or something like that. But this was all like noise that was being made by, you know, basically bad actors that wanted Schedule 1 to have bad press. It turned out that the developers of Drug Dealer Simulator came out and they were like, no, we're not filing anything about this. Like, our lawyers got, you know, I guess somebody in or connected to the company, or maybe it was just the media, they came out and they were like, this is a copy of this thing and they should sue. And then it sort of took on a life of its own. Yeah, and it kind of like took on a life of its own on the internet. And the original devs of Drug Dealer Simulator, they were like, no, we're happy for them, and we don't want to do anything. We're We're gonna get in contact with our people and say, no, leave them alone. This is fine. Of course, the people who made Drug Dealer Simulator are totally chill about this. So
Right.
not really an issue. And I'm glad to see it, because I think that ultimately, Drug Dealer Simulator guys are a small dev team as well, and they just want everybody to win. So
Yep.
Somebody jumped the gun on behalf. Yeah, somebody jumped the gun on the DDS devs. That's right. That was another game I never heard of anyway, and it's not even the same. Like Drug Dealer Simulator and Schedule 1 are not even the same in terms of like the gameplay and stuff. So
Right.
it's a stretch. The only thing they might have in common is the fact that drugs are involved. But then you could say that GTA is a ripoff, or that it's a ripoff of GTA. So let me see. So anyway, let's get into the next story. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. So let's talk about failing upward, because this was something I really wanted to bring up as well. So you guys know the story of, I swear to God, this is their name. Well, they claim their name, Professor Brown, a game developer tied to the ill-fated Concord project. So this person worked. I mean, I think you can see the haircut and the
smell
smugness
the
and
yeah.
Yeah.
You can smell the BO and cat piss from here.
So, Lisa Brown, her real name is Lisa Brown, danger haircut. Yeah. Known as Professor Brown or Prof Brown, was a lead character designer at Firewalk Studios during the development of Concord, that multiplayer first-person hero shooter released by Sony Interactive Entertainment on August 23rd, 2024, and failed 10 days later. For PlayStation 5 and Windows. Concord was Firewalk's only project, developed over 8 years at a reported cost of over $100 million. So some people like Colin Moriarty cited $400 million.
Yep. And when you factor in the
marketing and everything else, yeah,
they built a whole new studio. I mean, it's got to be closer. It's got to be somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion.
I'm going to say probably close to $500 million. Yeah. And a lot of it was government money too, by the way. Yep. I don't know what the proportion is, but a lot of it came from governments. And I know that it's not just like the sort of European government. I think that USAID had a part to play as well, and various other 3-letter agencies from other countries. Anyway, so the game aimed to compete in the crowded hero shooter market against titles like Overwatch and Apex Legends, although Overwatch was already like dying when this came out, so it wasn't really competition. Featuring a sci-fi setting, which we already know about. But what happened with this move to EA? So this person, despite being involved with an absolute disaster of a game release, got a job, failed upwards. So despite Concord's collapse, Brown has landed a major gig at EA, as reported in a YouTube video on April 10th. The specifics of Brown's new role, whether they're leading a project or working in a support capacity, are not detailed. But the move is framed as a classic case of failing upward in the AAA game development world, where the industry's revolving door often sees developers bounce back despite high-profile flops. EA, known for franchises like FIFA, Battlefield, and Apex Legends, is a significant step up in terms of resources and reach, raising eyebrows given Brown's track record. The video suggests skepticism about Brown's fit, pointing to their controversial stint at Firewalk and Concord's failure, but notes that EA's willingness to hire them reflects the industry's tendency to prioritize, I think, identity over their success or their experience.
Yep.
So what I want to ask is, I want you guys to tell me what you think, okay? So there have been a lot of high-profile flops in 2024, which we've gone through. Some other ones I didn't mention were like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Foam Stars. Oh man, what a sad game that was. Nobody even talks about it. And I think that this person might be involved with Apex Legends, as that is still popular, but I think it's like in need of some innovation to like stay relevant. But what I want to know is
You need some
what
testosterone.
what yeah, definitely. Why do you guys think this person continues to fail upwards? Do you really think that they think that this person is qualified? Do you think that this person has dodged accountability for what happened with Concord, and they're actually, or do you think that they're actually somebody who is talented but was surrounded by idiots at Firewalk Studios? Do you think that maybe she had people like, use her contacts or her connections to land her a job with EA, and maybe even applied some kind of like, pressure, like you should hire me because of my identity? I want to know what you guys think. I'll start with you, John, in the meantime, though.
Yeah, well, listening to her speak, in her own words, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Okay.
She was plucked out of college background, had nothing to do with game development at all. She spoke at length about it. We've talked about the structure of these things before, both here, and I've done it on other shows where you got, it's kind of like a sandwich of insanity. You've got all these activists at the bottom that are just chomping at the bit to leapfrog past the developers that are in the middle that just want to actually do the good work. And then you've got the control structures at the top that are full of these bureaucratic types that just want to use narrative design rather than storytelling to move games forward. And she's so conceited that she actually wants people to refer to as professor in her roles, and I don't even know that she actually legitimately has earned that distinction. But yeah, this person seems to be way in over their head, but because they play the game and spend identity politic games, things like that, finds themselves in the perfect situation for where modern AAA game development mindsets are, and doesn't really actually have to have the talent, skill, and ability or artistic integrity that it would normally take to see a project through to completion and actually be successful, but has all the qualities necessary to keep themselves embedded at or near the top of these structures, just simply from existing and trying to make it about anything other than an actual good play experience for the end user.
Yeah. So she's basically, she's always going to be they them. I'm sorry, they them. They are always going to be able to leverage their their sort of oppression status to apply, to use it as a form of a shakedown on companies. Like, what are you going to do? Deny the troon a job, even though this is just a woman that's just like really ugly. It's not even pretending to be like another gender. They just use they them pronouns.
Yeah.
And so that just gets them special treatment, and they're going to use it to land them a job, because like, well, I can't work at a bank because look at me, right? Like these people turn themselves into freaks so they can't get a regular job, and then they insist that other people give a shit about their plight when they could just take a shower, get a decent haircut, buy some good clothes, or like halfway decent clothes. You can get some at freaking Goodwill, and then go work somewhere where you might be useful. I don't know that there's a lot of those places, but I'd rather you do that than essentially like either destroy these industries with your creativity, or be a leech on our welfare system. So one thing's got to happen, unless of course you're Canadian, in which case like just fucking get out of here and quit. I wanted to I just remembered there was something I wanted to share. So I'm gonna because this is related to this. This is about the whole they them thing, these non-binary pronouns. So let me I'm gonna look at my go to X here, and let's see, Grok. Here we go. Oh, and I don't want Grok actually. I just want to go to X and look up my own account.
Like the Unifade Walker of game development.
What?
It said Eddie, yeah, Coringe's friend and cohort in trying to prop up that sad mess of a game that was.
Okay, so this is my X account. Sorry, I don't know why my voice cracked. I'm not 14 anymore, guys. This is my X account, and I saw this clip going around. This is a town hall, and I think this is very important. This is everything wrong with intersectional feminism, okay? And intersectional feminism is what we're dealing with here. Well, basically just feminism. Like the intersectional is just the latest rebranding. It's the latest, like, it's like Frieza. It's like not quite the final form, but it's one of the final forms, you know,
right.
Of feminism. And so we have yet to see the next incarnation, but this is getting close to the final form. And well, let me just play the clip and I'll explain it to you. And this is important because ultimately everything that's going on in our culture, it all spawns from this. So like people are like, why, you know, they have questions, they're bothered by this or that, they don't understand where it's coming from. And this is what I do. This is why this channel exists, is for me to show you this is where it's coming from. Okay. So for the context, this is a CNN town hall with Bernie Sanders. So CNN is hosting a town hall. CNN, in case you don't know, is basically the commie news network, and they work for the cathedral, and they're basically a progressive propaganda arm of, you know, the Democrat Party, or the left. I like to say the left instead, because Democrat Party sounds a little too. It's not quite right. You know, I don't think it's quite precise enough. And they're talking to Bernie Sanders, you know, well-known socialist that is anti-establishment, but also serves the establishment, you know, because he is phony and fake and socialism doesn't work and he hasn't learned that. But anyway, they're talking and they're taking questions. So I'm going to play this clip for you guys and let me know if you guys can hear this.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie.
Did you hear that? Okay, let's play it from the beginning. All right.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Did you catch that? Let's listen again. I want you to hear this because this is good.
Back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party. But of course.
All right. So let's unpack this video. This is like not even 20 seconds, okay?
Yeah.
And in 20 seconds, this woman, I'm going to show you what she looks like. Let's look at what she looks like.
Rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
All right. So this woman
Got a turtle in a wig.
Look at her. No. But this is a woman, right? You guys.
Oh, I understand. But
no, you can see that this is a woman. Okay,
yeah.
Like she's not trying to look non-binary. There's no effort being put in. She's wearing like probably a pantsuit, and she's got her hair down. It's long. She's clearly wearing makeup. You know, like she's not trying to not be a woman at all. Right. So there's not, but her pronouns are they, them, which is what she corrects. Anderson Cooper says she's a civil rights attorney and she says they, them pronouns actually. So the purpose of this, she just cracked the whip on him and he can't say no. This is like what he can't say. Well, actually, I think you're a woman, or he can't even say, I think that is a fair mistake to make, like to accidentally call you a she, or because even look at you, right?
That's kind of irrelevant to the point. Just ask your damn question.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
no, like, but that is, yeah, no, but that is her point. Her point is to get you to fall in line and address her appropriately. It is control. Ultimately, it's only control. She's trying to get you to behave a certain way. And when she says they, them pronouns, if you don't just point and laugh at her instantly, like you stop being ridiculous. You're a woman. That like, if you don't do that, she wins. If you basically say, oh, I'm sorry, she wins. Okay. Yeah. And so this is the first thing. It is obvious that she is a woman and she's saying they, them pronouns actually. And they have to recoil at that. And then after that, she does this. She says this.
Good Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party.
So in this 15, she not only exposes her own like crazy narcissistic like control freak nature, but she also exposes the answer to her own question.
Yeah.
Like she says, these are my pronouns. Why are men leaving the Democratic Party and like
In droves,
you know what
right?
I mean? Do you see that?
Yeah.
And not only is it like, well, yeah, because of people like you, like that's obviously the answer.
Yeah.
But isn't it also
frumpy cunts
interesting?
Need to like chill their shit.
Isn't it also interesting that she would claim that, you know, her pronouns are they, them, which is essentially suggests that like gender is just a social construct and I can just call myself whatever I want to, and that's not a real thing. And then immediately in the next sentence say, what's the problem with men?
Right.
Like men are a sex. Like she acknowledges that men exist. And it's all so like the thing I'm trying to get people to see here is that when, and this happens everywhere I look, people get into these like discussions about like non-binary and trans identity and like gender fluidity and all this other stuff. Do you not see that the purpose of all of this is simply to erase men? It's not even only to erase women. That's like a side that like when that happens, like when you get like biological men and women's sports, that's like a side effect. That's a bug. That's not a feature. The feature is the removal and erasure of men and male identity. So when a woman, not a non-binary, whatever, comes out and says, my pronouns are they, them, she is saying, I can like exist in any form of any gender. And so I choose they, them. And because I can create reality with my words, you have to go along with it. But men are real and they're a problem. That's really what she men are real, men are a real thing, and men are a problem.
Right.
And this is the thing that people consistently miss. So like when, like if you have a problem with like what's going on with, you know, trans people, and I think that I don't think that they're doing themselves a service. I think that time is ticking, okay? Yeah. But there are going to be a lot of self-deletions coming up. And people are going to be like, where did this come from? I'm telling you, you don't let people, especially boys, have their gender or their sex be respected and acknowledged for what it is and the good that it does. They're going to destroy themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to destroy other people.
Yeah, and I would contend that the identity crisis, I've mentioned it before, the identity crisis is just a mile marker in the transhumanist agenda overall.
Sure.
And they're just using transgenderism as a stopgap measure to ultimately, exploit humanity at large. And they're using even these people that are having these identity crisis issues as willing test monkeys for life extension technologies that are ultimately aimed at offloading the majority of us from the planet so that people that see us as lesser can have robot butlers and have more land. You know, it's a sick thing. But this woman in one fell swoop discounts women and men and puts herself above it all because, you know, her amazing outlook on everything, that she can just kind of disassociate herself and then wonder why people are feeling disassociated. And you hit the nail right on the head when you said, you know, she answered her own question before she, you know, in just even asking it. It's like you're pushing people out. You're telling them that they're lesser. You're telling women that they're lesser when you sit here and don't even, take some level of pride in your own humanity. I can just be a social construct. Well, you know, social construct yourself out of the fucking room.
Well, of course it's going to have an effect on women, but that's only because there isn't much left to do to men. Like what I'm saying is that what we have to do is we have to like bring the male identity back into a positive light, and the women will follow. But what happens is like when the trans thing is getting out of hand as it is, and the non-binary thing and all of that, we don't give a shit until it starts affecting women. Then all of a sudden, everybody's like hair is on fire, and they're like, we have to do something. And that's like
men will be the one to blame.
Well, yeah, men are. Well, they are to blame. That's exactly it. Like what is it that's going on when I see like some of the large, sort of like panel discussions on like the bigger channels? They're talking about women or men in women's sports, and it's like, yeah, but women voted for that. Like women voted for that. They advocated for that over like decades. They were talking about this is, gender is not real, and men, you should be more like women. Hell, you should be women. And so, and then some of them, like a small percentage, when you've taken the father out of the home, with divorce court being what it is, and the welfare state stepping in, big daddy government basically replaces the father in the home. The children, they grow up without a father. They need that. And if they don't have that, there's a high chance that they're going to go into, destructive interests. They're going to go in destructive directions, one of which may be that they become like transgender because they're confused about their identity, or they become, and most, like a large majority of trans people have themselves experienced sexual abuse as children. And how does that happen? Well, the kids become exposed to, they're not protected because there's no father around. So it's almost like it could be a stepfather, or it could be no dad, or it could be the woman's boyfriend, or it could be the mom's, like a friend of the mom that's female. Like there's a lot of again, nobody wants to talk about it, but there's a lot of cases where women sexually abuse children, and then those children grow up fucked up, and they go on to like, become abusers, or they become trans, or they become rapists, or they become violent criminals. And when that happens, because the violent criminals tend to be men, because men are more capable of violence, then we just blame men as an abstract concept, and we don't want to look into where they get it from, right? Yeah. Because nobody wants to, and people have been trying to talk about this for decades, and we just don't want to be made uncomfortable by the fact that women can be evil. Like we just cannot conceive of it, and we can only see it when it happens. When it gets to the point where men are doing it, then we give a shit, and then we can blame men, and that's what's happening right now. Like the men,
even an evil woman is a transitive measure to blame men generally because she was wronged by someone, and
that's usually. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like we can just say, "Oh, well, she's not an evil woman. She was just done wrong by a guy." Like, and that's what isn't that like the plot of like all these Hollywood films that have female villains in it? Oh, they were hard done by a man. Oh, they were just like a man did them wrong, and that's why it's actually justifies their behavior. Well, I mean, wouldn't you do that if a man broke your heart? Yeah, burn down a village? No, probably not, but it's okay, and that's what they do. So like what I don't know, I got on a little bit of a tangent, but like this trans thing, if you accept this as a premise, you will lose. And part of that means that you have to stop treating women like they're fragile little angels that can do no wrong. You have to treat them like adults.
Yeah, they say they want equality, so that's the good and the bad.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out, and in related news as well, there's a well, maybe I won't bring that up, but I was going to mention this is another unfortunate outcome possible from the whole trans thing, is that these people, they're not served by us humoring them or encouraging their transition. It does not improve their chances of like not, committing suicide or murder. And there's a story of a trans person named Horowitz, Nora Horowitz, or Michael Aaron Horowitz, who killed his father and stabbed him 100 times in the face, head, and body. And was also, and I don't know if you guys know this, but this was a comic book artist that worked for, I believe worked for Marvel. So like not a small thing. Well, again, they encourage this shit. Like we should not be encouraging this. That's how you're going to get these problems, and they're not going to go away. So, anyway.
Until they take care of themselves.
Yeah. Orange Avenger says, I hate watching that video. You mean the one with the pronouns? Oh, yeah, they look like a functional human being. Yeah, it's absolutely. But anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments about failing upwards. And like, you know, again, what I want to say, like last word on this is that it is essentially a byproduct of a culture in our well, it's a culture of people who don't want to make other people uncomfortable or feel offended. And I think that people like Professor whatever here, they can
Professor
leverage. Yeah, Professor. Well, again,
I
it's
know,
like
I know.
not even
I know.
trans. It's just a woman. Like they're just saying they just gave themselves this crazy haircut and then said my pronouns are they them, and now you have to like this is like the best scam because you don't have to like take any hormones. You don't have to do any like crazy surgeries on your body. You can just say, hey man, I'm just a I'm an identity
just a
without an
professor.
essence.
Professor Identity.
Yeah. And and you just have to like treat them differently. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to one of two things. Either A, this person used their identity and their connections with various human rights organizations and unions to essentially secure themselves a job. Like somebody went in there and said, how many non-binary people do you have working at EA? And they were like, it didn't matter what their answer was.
Not
like,
enough.
Well, you need more. So you got to hire this person. Or the climate or the culture of EA was already there on board. They were already true believers. They're like, we need more Troons. Is that a Troon? Nah, she's a non-binary they them. Well, that'll do. That's fine. We need those too.
Yeah.
And then just bring them on board. So let us know what you guys think about that one in the comments. RIP EA, as all I'm saying. I mean, like, and that's fine. Good riddance. I don't care. It can all go. Let's move on to the next story. I think, so we're going to talk a little bit about Nintendo. This is partly about your thumbnail.
Yeah,
The thing with Bowser.
Yep.
But they've
He's
had
also
a week.
formerly from EA.
Well, yeah, right. That explained what happened to Russell. Was that his name?
Reggie.
Reggie
Reggie was too much of a gamer. They gave him a golden parachute, and and it's crazy too. Like when you realize that part of the reason why games used to when he was the head, he went to loggerheads with the other top people there to explain the benefit of having pack-ins as a way to extol the virtues of the system and be lost leaders and actually get a higher install base. So Wii Sports was included because of him. The Wii Play game also that came with the extra remote, that was because of him. Everybody else that was in the room was highly against it, but he stood his ground and it was actually like, look, you have to put the player first, basically. And now that he's gone, they've got this cuck waffle from EA, Doug Bowser, occupying his role. And EA is all about monetization schemes and trying to get more from less. And any hope that you may have had that Nintendo was somehow the good guy, the mask has completely just been ripped away and thrown to the ground, and they are just the very definition of corporatist globalism, greed incarnate at this point. So, if you want to be a part of that, I'm sure they'll be glad to overcharge you on just about everything that they're putting out for this new system.
Yeah.
But I clearly am just, I gave up on Nintendo when Nintendo gave up on me back when they decided that casual gamers were where it's at and that they weren't interested in actually being a part of, legitimate, fun game experiences beyond, getting carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Reggie's on a beach somewhere with Kevin Butler, the guy who used to do the old PlayStation 3 ads. That was really hilarious. So those were great. I love those, but that was a long time ago now. Yeah. You guys remember the Kevin Butler ads? Okay, but so let's look at what's going on with the Switch 2. So why do I have a picture of Trump here? Well, I'm going to explain.
Mhm.
Nintendo announced the Switch 2 on April 2nd, 2025, with a planned launch date of June 5th, 2025, and initially scheduled pre-orders for April 9th in the US and Canada. However, on April 4th, Nintendo halted US pre-orders, citing the need to, quote, assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions, end quote, following President Donald Trump's announcement of sweeping global tariffs. Japan, where Nintendo is headquartered, was hit with a 24% tariff on exports to the US, a move Trump claimed would boost the US economy, but which Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba called a national crisis. This tariff directly threatened Nintendo's pricing strategy, as the Switch 2 was set to retail at $449.99 in the US, with a bundle including Mario Kart World at $499.99.
Mhm.
Let's see. By April 8th, Nintendo Canada followed suit, delaying pre-orders to align with the US, though the launch date remained unchanged, which is weird because I don't see how, like, well, Trump was tariffing Canada too, but I don't see how Canada will be affected by our tariffs against Japan. The pause reflects Nintendo's uncertainty, but absorbing the 24% tariff costs or passing it onto consumers, which could push the Switch 2's price above $550, a risky move in a competitive market. Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser confirmed the original pricing did not account for such high tariffs, and the company was actively assessing potential adjustments. Meanwhile, UK pre-orders proceeded unaffected, with retailers like Game and Smiths selling out quickly at $395.99 in terms of pounds. That's
Mhm.
like $506 in US dollars. Though scalpers on eBay were listing them for over £500. The US and Canada pauses were still in effect as of April 9th, with Nintendo promising updates on new pre-order dates at a later date. So there's like more information we could get into, but essentially, I think Nintendo, this is my opinion on this, okay? I think Nintendo's using the Trump tariffs as a kind of cope to essentially say this is why your system's going to cost so much money, and I think this is just a cope for that, because all of Trump's tariffs, in case you don't know, all of them are sort of like theoretical tariffs. Like he's like saying, work with us, and we can like come to some agreement on this. But up until then, we've been getting, as the United States, have been getting kind of raked over the coals by all these other countries who have higher tariffs. And the only thing Trump was doing was matching those tariffs 50%.
Mhm.
So like if if Canada charged a 50% tariff on certain items, which they do, I think they, our dairy products, a lot of dairy comes from Canada. Trump would tariff Canada back 25%. So it's not even as much as they're tariffing us. And they're losing their shit because they're getting not even penalized really, but there's an action happening. And a lot of them, again, they're conditional, right? So Canada's tariffs will be, Lee said, I'll lift them if you guys do something about the border. And the current Canadian Prime Minister, who's not Justin Trudeau, but he's resigned, and they have a new guy in his place that's even worse, Thomas Carney, who straight up is like a globalist WEF guy that's like really chummy with China. I mean, to the point where China is essentially invading Canada right now, like on the West Coast. There's like extremely high populations of Chinese people moving into like BC and Vancouver. And they're all like, you go there and there's like, it's like you're in China. Like they don't speak English. Like it's completely different. And that's legal immigration in Canada. So they're not working with us. Like this guy, the Prime Minister, Carney, he's got TDS bad. And so they're willing to, it's essentially like Zelensky in that they're willing to harm the Canadian people to make a point about the United States. Like because they're blaming the United States. Like, I'm not doing this to you, Trump is doing this to you. And this is kind of what was going on in Ukraine, where, Zelensky is like, he's basically had to raise the age of conscription for men to send them to die in war, and refuses to come to the negotiating table.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not doing this to you. Putin is doing this to you.
Right.
It's
It's
like,
passive aggressive transitive projection deflection at play.
mhm.
You know, it's like rather than actually owning up to the fact that they're just shit heels themselves, you know, they want to like, you know, sit here and say, "Oh, Orange Man bad." You
Yeah.
know, 'cause
Orange
that's
Avenger says, yeah, social media is blaming Trump when the price was set long before any talk of tariffs. That's right.
Yep.
They had it set before the tariffs, but now they're Nintendo has a scapegoat. They can say, "Oh no, this is the reason." And again, the UK did not do that. They're just like, "Okay, well, we'll just suck it up." You know, we have plenty of knife enthusiasts that would like to play the new Mario Kart.
Right, right.
So anyway, so what else did you want to say about this, like with regards to Bowser?
Well, I mean, just I kind of mentioned it earlier. The fact that he comes from the control structure at EA, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that has long been a nemesis to most gamers' perspective on the industry and actual, you know, end results. You know, there's a reason why Nintendo is the way that it is now, and it's not going back anytime soon. They've lost focus of actually having a uh, customer profitability relationship and understanding that much like when you sell razor, you know, you sell the blade, not the handle, and sometimes you just have to get that install base first to get people to go along with it. But then they've also got their variable pricing scheme, which is something we saw emerge from COVID Hell World with dynamic pricing all across various forms of markets, things like that. It's simply a way for them to arbitrarily say, well, I this game is gonna cost this much of your time, and so it denotes us getting paid out this much. And you know, when you look at the way that Nintendo makes games, someone put it really well into perspective. I think it was Real Life Fake Wizard when he was pointing out that you know the amount of investment that goes into say something like a Grand Theft Auto or Cyberpunk 2077. The games that Nintendo makes, while you know they do cost something, they don't cost this exorbitant amount that would denote these high prices that they're putting on the games themselves. And so it really just comes down to them just being profiteers. And there's no way, shape, or form that when people try to say, "Oh, well, games used to cost this much back when," you're looking at the surface number and not actually extrapolating everything that went into what used to be the game industry during the time in the 80s when there was a smaller install base, the actual components and things like that that went into making a cartridge were you know actually legitimate in terms of how that was going to affect the cost. Nowadays, you know, when you have such a wide user base and you can buy things on contract levels to get the prices down and actually, you know, have profitability by volume, when you sit here and say effectively, and that was one of the things, which is why I made the thumbnail the way that I did. Bowser said this week that, well, and I'm just summarizing right now. He said, for anybody who can't enter into the market for a Switch 2, well, there's a Switch 1, and it reminded me of Metric, back in X-Bone days when he effectively said the same kind of thing that, oh, well, if you can't have an always online connection, if you're
Yeah, we have
on
a
a
console for
submarine,
that. It's
we have a
the
console for that, the Xbox
yeah,
360, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
when Sony with their PS3 said, well, people should be willing to get a second job to pay for this thing. You know, these are
Mm-hmm.
not how you endear yourself to the wider gaming landscape, but to just go and take that kind of mindset and act
Yeah.
as though you're
This
doing
ain't it,
people a favor
Chief.
by calling them peasants effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And have you
Mm-hmm.
tried not being broke?
Well, what about don't you all have phones?
Right, right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a misstep, and like I think especially like in the current in the current economy, which is going to be it's going to be tough. Like, Trump said it, like essentially we've been kicking the can down the road in the United States, and we've been paying everybody else's like bills, like in all these other countries for so long, and like our debt is so high that it's gotta give. Like there's no going around it. There's no avoiding this, you know?
Right.
And you can blame the boomers or whatever, but like the point is this is where we are now. So like we have to confront this, which means we got to tighten our belts. And like as somebody who is used to living poor, I mean, I'm okay with like not having the new fucking console. I'm okay with not having the new phone. It's like, so what, right? And I think that I mean, it's just something that you got to learn, right? So, and Nintendo's not really in. Neither is any of the other, you know, big guys. They're not really in the position to be like, you know, stop being poor.
Right.
Between
offshoring jobs, you know, actual manufacturing jobs here in America, to inboarding a whole bunch of low skill people into our ranks through various forms of immigration, we find ourselves in a service-based economy that doesn't actually serve anyone other than the corporatist globalism that wants to turn the entire world into a third world to second world state of serfdom. And so there has to be a way to reset the balance. And that's what people are not understanding about this concept of tariffing, is it's about actually trying to bring industry back to America. If you want to have your thing, you know, and you're some foreign company, invest in America. Go put a plant here. Hire actual legitimate American workers to do the thing, and you know, people can actually make living wages again, and we can actually have, you know, local economies that work, that keep money here in our ecosystem rather than just going into money markets that are broadly, you know, spread around the world, that only really benefit those profiteers that seek to undermine us all. You know, it's like, it's not that hard to understand when you actually take the time to consider it, but it's so much easier just to say orange man bad.
Yes, it is definitely easier to just do that. And it's obviously just, like I said, it's a cope. Somebody in the chat said, I wanted to mention this. Big J Rilla says, oh man, if Nintendo goes woke, I will have to get a Steam Deck instead.
Do get a Steam Deck. I'm coming to you live today. I am operating off of a Steam Deck. And I have been online doing all my various streams for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say, or it's like I feel confident in saying that like Valve is like the most pro gamer of the various companies. Like it's one of the most pro gamer companies. So I would support getting a Steam Deck. I mean, I have like tax returns coming. I might be picking one up for myself, and then I'm also getting an upgrade. Hopefully, we've opened up we're going to be opening up a fundraiser for me to get a new machine so I can do my work. So that's like a separate thing. But I might be getting a Steam Deck myself, and I think it's the way to go. And I would say shop on Steam or GOG. Those are like the best. I mean, that I'm aware of. Those are like the best sites.
Yeah,
there's
always sales. I said there's always a sale. And so, you know, and that's the other thing too, is it's not just the high cost of this you know, hardware that's coming out from Nintendo. The games themselves, you're looking at $100 investments for games that you already have that are just basically updates. The Zelda game, they at least actually confirmed it does have the original game on the disc, but then it still has the authentication key. But for some reason, they didn't include the DLC for a game that is ostensibly 8 years old. So, you know, they're going to hit you with a higher price for something that's essentially the same to begin with. And then if you actually want to have the full experience, well, that comes at a premium as well. So it's just nickel and diming you every step of the way.
Yep. All right. Well, let's know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I'm going to move on to the next story. So this is also Trump related, but it's mainly, we're going to go into some Hollywood stuff or some stuff with the film industry a little bit. So, all right. This is, I think this is great. This is the only place where I could find this video. It's a little video clip. Let's just give this a listen.
China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
So what do you? Okay, so they're saying that because of the tariffs, China is threatening to essentially, like, you know, cut off like the
movie industry.
Yeah, cut off the access for the Hollywood movie industry in China. So it will further reduce the domestic audience's favorability towards American films.
All the more reason to make stories for actual Americans and stop trying to focus on a global modern audience that tries to satisfy everyone and ultimately ends up just underwhelming, just about anybody who ever sees these things.
Or it will just kill Hollywood. But you know what?
Yeah,
I think
fine too.
I think that horse needs to be taken out to pasture and shot. Well, Hollywood is like yesterday. Okay, I was hanging around with my wife trying to figure out something to do. Now I was like, let's play some video games. She didn't want to. She was like, let's watch a movie, and I was like, yeah, but there's nothing out here. Like,
right.
But because I was like, well, I have some movies I have a rack of films, like old ones. And I'm like, well, I kind of want to watch this or, check this out. I have like foreign, like Kung Fu flicks from the 80s. And she didn't want to watch any of that. She was like, was there anything new? I was like, no, Hollywood hasn't made anything good in years. Like, they're dead. Like, they're like the big hit this weekend was the Minecraft movie. And I'm sorry, but I'm not like some, Ritalin infused, like 12-year-old that loves memes that could sit through that. I mean, like the kids that went to see the Minecraft movie couldn't sit through that because they were throwing popcorn and like, having essentially a weird, like a fucking histrionic tantrum, but it did make a lot of money. The film, I think, is like, it might make $1 billion, and literally it's probably super low effort. Like, it's not even a good movie. It just has the Minecraft things in it. And I'm sure the next up is the Fortnite movie, which is going to be the same. So yeah, right. Starring Ryan Gosling, right? But the point is that films are basically dead. Like, there's nothing good coming out. No one's making anything. And when they do, it's all like preachy garbage. Like, one thing I thought about watching was for lulls and maybe to do a review on it is G20. You guys know about G20?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
With Viola Davis playing the president of the United States. Yeah, and she
with her hacker daughter.
Yeah, right. It's always a hacker. There's always like a little girl hacker. Orange Avenger says Deadpool 3 was okay. Yeah, it was okay, but like, how old is that? That came out like, and we saw it already. And Lindsay was like, it's too degenerate. Plus, Ryan Reynolds' homosexuality is just becoming a little bit too much for me. Like, I can't take the gay. It's too much gay. But so I thought about watching G20 for the cringe, but I was like, I don't think I can put myself through that. And the fact is, like,
for me.
But I will say, okay, Hollywood is at a crossroads. I don't think it's going to be able to make the right move because I think that it's way too paused at this point. Like, it gets to a point where people cannot course correct because they don't have the humility to say, maybe I'm wrong. Right. So what I think is, like, if they don't just like completely go bankrupt and die, they could potentially go the other way too far. Like, basically, like, like Bud Light, okay, for example, when Bud Light did the promotion with Dylan Mulvaney, and there was a backlash, justifiably so, right? Chris, was it Kid Rock was shooting at beers, and everyone was making a statement, or the easy statement, which is the same one that I've been calling for ever since Gamergate started, was don't give money to people who hate you. It's very simple. And so Anheuser-Busch lost a lot of money, and because of the Bud Light thing. And what happened was Anheuser-Busch tried to get their audience back by going too far the other direction. I don't know if you guys remember, but they doubled down the ultra manly, like, they had like horses, and because like the Bush commercials used to have like the was it the Clydesdales and I think pulling a wagon. I don't know.
Yeah, that was old school Budweiser.
But the old school Budweiser. and they tried to bring that back. Or they would do it in other ways. Like they'd have like a bunch of guys, and they're like, "I'm a guy," and they're like hanging out at the
Right.
barbecue, but they're a
The
little bit
cul-de-sac
goofy.
commercial, yeah.
And it was like
terrible.
But at that point, like we were done. Like I mean, like I never drank it anyway. But like people
Yeah.
who were not going to support it, they could see that the people trying to save the brand did not understand the brand. Like they were like, "This is for men, right? What do men like?" You know, and
Yeah.
then they didn't know. It was like, "Oh, you mean like sports and like barbecues and like being
Yeah.
fat and lazy?" Like they didn't understand what men wanted, so they couldn't save the brand. Like it had to like get to the point where they did end up changing course. And I saw like an interview.
We want mildly offensive jokes and boobs.
Yeah, like
There you go.
jokes and boobs.
Yeah.
Like do what so many other people have done it right. Like basically just be authentic though. I think is the first thing. Just be authentic to the people who, buy your product, and don't try to like change the market, because it started when a woman who worked at Anheuser-Busch was a woman.
Clinching underwear White Claws telling people how to drink beer.
Yeah, she was saying, "Oh, well, this is like frat boy," like she called it like a frat boy culture, and she wanted to change it. But like if the frat boy culture is what buys your beer, then why would you try to like and it comes from the same it comes from the same arrogant place of people who think that markets can be created.
Right.
But they're not created. You respond to them. And sometimes something can be created, but it's like you don't know exactly what people are looking for, which is why Schedule 1 is a success, right? Like that guy had no idea it was going to blow up, but he happened to catch lightning in a bottle in the moment, and he was successful because what he made was authentic enough to what it was that it drew an audience, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I want to play, Breaking Bad simulator." And so they got into it.
Yeah, and to be honest, beer for the most part is just not appealing to women. They want something that's fruity and has vodka in it, and that's it.
But I mean, like even women who do drink beer don't care about the marketing. Like they were gonna buy it anyways.
Right.
So like, it's sort of it's because like there's something about it that's appealing anyway. It's like Lindsay likes, my wife, she likes to play Red Dead Redemption 2. She doesn't need Red Dead Redemption or Rockstar to like make a commercial for girls.
Right.
Because she already likes the product. Like she likes Resident Evil. She doesn't need Capcom to make a Resident Evil ad for girls with like girl power themes. In fact, that'll probably turn her off because it detracts from what it is, which is like a horror survival horror game, right? So anyway, I want to get to this Anheuser-Busch thing. I want to talk about something else.
You also have a Rumble rant. So
yes, I got a Rumble rant. Thank you, Xeranx, for $5. And he says, worst thing about getting older is there is less and less to do. If I was 20 years younger, I can say that now. I could go anywhere. Now I'm detailing backstories too much for a chatbot RPG campaign. Oh, well, that's cool. You know what, Xeranx, you I don't know how old you are, but you guys just need to like make some like IRL friends, I swear. Like human beings need three things. We need water, we need sunlight, and we need human contact. And I mean, like, I think that the last few years to the COVID years, the COVID dark times, that just fucked people up, especially the Zoomers, and they're struggling to recover.
Right.
But that's what we need. And that's why, by the way, I believe that social games are the future. Like this is the reason why games like Content Warning and Repo and Schedule 1 are really popular. Lethal Company, yes. What was the other one? The back rooms. Like there's a lot of these social games, Helldivers 2, that are very popular because people are looking to connect. And I think that integration of social media, like types of apps and games are the future. I think that's where things are going. And I don't mean like in a VR chat, where you get your fursona on like the internet. No, I mean like where the gameplay has a social, the social components are integrated.
Right.
I think that's the future. But
yeah, and I would also say to that though, it's always important to remember that the internet is not a place, it's an experience. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not
Yeah.
on the internet here with you. I'm sitting in my room having a conversation. You know, it just happens to take place through the internet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but anyway, Xerinx is 43. Oh well, shit, I'm 52, so 51. I can't even. I
I'm
lost count.
44 myself as well.
Ah.
So yeah, no, we
It's
can
not
all-
too late, Xerinx.
Yeah.
It's not too late. But okay. So going back to the Anheuser-Busch thing. So the Tucker Carlson had this guy on, and I recommend you guys watch it because it's very good. He used to work at Anheuser-Busch. He was like a high up marketing guy, and he was explaining essentially what happened with that company. And it was a woman that came in and said, "This is too frat boyish. I'm going to change it," and that failed. And Anheuser-Busch lost a lot of money, and they were scrambling to find a solution. Now, this is the reason. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but lately they have had Shane Gillis, who's a comedian, very funny, fucking hilarious guy, that's been doing ads for Bud Light now. And Dylan Mulvaney is just like, they just pretend like she doesn't exist anymore, or he doesn't exist.
Yeah. Dylan has disappeared into the ethers, as it were.
Well, Dylan wrote a book, which apparently is a New York Times bestseller.
Woo!
Because of course, well, it means that the machine props
I know.
people up that they like. That's
all.
Yeah,
like
you know, to get on the New York Times bestseller list, you just have to know the right people. It has nothing to do with selling books.
In the course of the last 20 years, there's not been one white male science fiction writer ever in the last 20 years on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah. Like another example of this, like all of these like prominent figures, these woke people that you're like, how are they popular? They're propped up. Like this gatekeeping thing
installed
has been, they're propped up artificially. This has been going on forever. I have an interview on my channel. I ask you to watch it. I talked to a guy named Jay Ishiro, who's a writer, and it's on my channel. Please go check it out. And we talk about how all of in the science fiction literature environment, okay, all of that stuff is artificial. Like it's been that way. Like in the very early on, you had like some of the prominent science fiction writers like Isaac Asimov, okay, and they were part of a group of people that said, we're going to control the narrative of storytelling in science fiction. At the time, you know, people basically read books. Like this wasn't, you know, television was really a new thing. And film was for working class people. It was for plebs, okay? Like movies were cheap fun for people who were poor that were looking for entertainment. And that was what it was. That's why like a lot of old movies, they were, you know, very simple plots, very straightforward. They weren't considered high art at the time. They were just for entertainment. And then over time, they became more and more artsy, more and more expensive, and going to the theater costs more and more money, which is another, like Quentin Tarantino talked about this in an interview where he was like, you know, films used to be for working class people. It was like $5 to go to a movie. And now, you know, what is it, like $20 to go to a movie? So like your working class people can't really afford to go. And it doesn't have the same, it's not even the same kind of stuff anymore, right? Like the actual content is different because it's all political now. Whereas before it was like, you know, cowboys with white hats and cowboys with black hats. But going back to the because I'm going on lots of tangents. I apologize. So yeah, so the science fiction community. So they created. They basically made it to where only people who went through them could get published, or if they could avoid that, they would get cast as a certain kind of writing. Like they would say, "Oh, those are pulps," which means that they're, you know, they're low, they're like low IQ stories. They're not good stories. Nobody wants to read them, right? And they were using it as a form of gatekeeping. And I talked about it on the show before, how that's been going on in the art world forever, because ultimately it was all about people with a certain political agenda, a certain political viewpoint, trying to control all of our stories and culture so that people don't see that there are things outside of it. They only see what's being put in front of them. what they're being fed. Okay, so it's like you have to eat the slop. This is the slop that we're giving you because this is all there is. And people, a lot of them, they buy into it. They think, oh yeah, I guess that's what it is, right? And so like, I have sympathy for that position because I understand that if you're not trying to find something, then that's what you're going to get.
Right.
And so, speaking of books, did you know that despite the fact that Dragon Age the Veilguard is an absolute flop in terms of its sales and nobody who played the previous games likes it, it's in the running to win a Hugo Award. The Hugo Awards are science fiction awards for fiction. They're for stories. Why? Well, they're starting now to give awards. The Hugos are going to be giving awards to video games. Okay? For storytelling. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is the Hugo Awards is going to be awarding games that are undeserving of awards for any other, thing other than like what they think a good story is. So a story about a non-binary, whatever the fuck, Canary, well, that wins an award. It's nominated, hasn't won, but it's being nominated. And what does that do for the game? Well, if it's nominated for a Hugo Award, then they get to put that on their box. They get to use it in their marketing. Oh, this was nominated for a Hugo. The story was so good that it almost won an award from a prestigious like literature award, company or whatever organization. Yep. And so there's a reason why we have a term called Oscar bait.
Yep.
Which are movies that are go ahead.
I was gonna say we've mentioned it here before, because the BAFTAs were this week and they were brought to you by Sony, obviously. And we've mentioned it on the show specifically at length how award shows are just forms of stealth marketing so that they can go and put that kind of thing on there. Because if a game actually sells, it doesn't need the nudge to try to get someone to see the supposed virtues in it. Because if you actually just make a good game, people see the value. But if they don't have that as an actual overriding kind of, position to actually build themselves up and get good word of mouth sales, then they'll try to use whatever convenient ploy they can to make it seem as though it's actually worth your time, when ultimately it's just empty, hollow words that mean absolutely fuck all, which is what these game awards do, which is what this Hugo Award is all about as well. It's just ways to, it's more narrative control, just spinning shit.
Yep. And let me see. The purpose of it is essentially to artificially prop it up as good. So Oscar bait was like, movies that win Oscars are movies that nobody would watch otherwise most of the time. Sometimes they can't help but have to give like something like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King swept the Oscars the year it came out, because it was to get to the point where people were questioning the validity of the Oscars itself because they didn't give any awards to the previous films, right? But like most of the time, it's just a way to like say, watch this movie about the gay overweight man that ended up committing suicide, like a literal movie that existed, by the way. It's called The Whale, I think, with Brendan Fraser. The only time Brendan Fraser gets acknowledgement is in that. I didn't watch that movie. I already liked Brendan Fraser for like The Mummy and like, Encino Man or whatever. But like those movies never stood a chance to win anything. So like it's so arbitrary in terms of like who gets it, but it's not in terms of what the Academy deems a story worth winning an award for. And the purpose of it winning an award is to essentially tell the moviegoers, you should watch this. It makes you a better person, because then you support this. And it's always the same kind of, identity politics stuff. It's like about a woman, or it's about a black person, or it's about slavery, or it's about being gay, or it's about having AIDS or whatever. And those are the movies that always win, because that's what they're pushing. That's what they're normalizing. That's what they're using the propaganda for. Like, I mean, I don't know if it did, maybe it didn't, but did like The Passion of the Christ win any awards? It probably did win some, because it might have been another one of those years where the movie made so much money, the Academy couldn't ignore it. They couldn't ignore it, so they had to acknowledge it, right? It took Leonardo DiCaprio getting humiliated by a bear to win an Oscar. Yeah. But like that's how they do things. So like And because once you know that all of it is artificial, and that, like, and I've been saying since I was a kid, I've been like talking about movies that I liked, that I'm like, why didn't that win? Even though, like, I know that Hollywood would they almost never give awards to action movies unless it's like for special effects or something,
Right.
But I
A
mean,
technical award.
yeah, like technical awards, right, or costuming or something. But like, come on, man! Like, Predator is a perfect film. It'll never win awards, but it's a perfect fucking movie. RoboCop is a perfect movie. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. But it'll never win, even though everyone knows the quotes. Big Trouble in Little China will never win an award. The Thing will never win an award, right? But anyway, so getting back to the China thing. So Hollywood is going to have to make a decision about this, because I hope China does, like, limit their exposure, because then maybe Hollywood will stop making movies that pander to China, which is probably part of why everything's been so shit. Like, even a couple of movies that were made for China. Remember that one? I never saw it. I think it was called The Great Wall, with like Matt Damon. And they're like, he's in China for some reason. I don't even know what the plot is, but that was straight up a movie made for China. And China, by the way, cannot make movies. Like, Hong Kong was able to make movies, but China cannot make movies. They need to give Hong Kong back so we can get our Hong Kong films back. And China needs to stop making movies. Jackie Chan is too old. He can't save them. All the other Tony Leung and Andy Lau, those guys are old. They can't save it. It's over. All they have now, and the truth is that Chinese movies only get made if they are explicitly and overtly nationalistic towards China. So it limits what they can make. And so even if they make some kind of fantasy epic, it's got to be like a super pro-China movie. They're already like creatively bankrupt. But going back to Hollywood. So Hollywood's either going to adapt and change course and like make normal movies, which I don't think they're capable of doing. They're going to double down and probably kill themselves, which is actually pretty likely. Or they're going to make a weird attempt to go in the opposite direction to appeal to Americans in the same way that Bud Light tried to do when they realized that the Dylan Mulvaney thing didn't work out for them. And one of the ways that I think that's happening now already is there's like a small studio called Angel Studios. And Angel Studios is basically like they put out a lot of like conservative, religious, and libertarian content. Like, they have a cartoon that's all about libertarianism, which isn't, I mean, like, I've watched like a couple episodes out of curiosity. I think it's called like the Tuttle Twins. And they have like shows like The Chosen. And they're pretty high quality in terms of what their presentation is. Not like the Hallmark movies, which are really cringe, or like the stuff on PAX. But they are basically replacing Hollywood in some respects. But the problem is, I think, that Angel Studios suffers from is that it's too limited in its scope in terms of what it can produce. And they're also hiring people that I would not. And I think that harms their brand. For example, they have an anime, I don't know if it's a movie or a series, but they have an animation coming out called The Greatest Story Ever Told or something like that. And it's basically like the New Testament, but it's animated. So it's just Jesus, and it's it's either a series or a movie. I don't know. But I know that everybody's talking about it. And one of the things is that Mark Hamill does a voice in that. So people are like, I'm not watching that because Mark Hamill's completely insane. Like, who gave him a job, right? But he's in that. I don't know. I think I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Greatest Story.
I think
it's
Henry
called
Caviezel is the voice of Jesus in this one as well.
He might be.
I think I vaguely recall something about that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I don't want to say.
Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah, it might not be called The Greatest Story. It might be.
But I do know that there is definitely an animation about it coming out. That, like I said, I think he is reprising the role of Jesus as a voice actor.
Yeah, And I'm I can't. Somebody in the chat probably knows. Jackie Chan is a CCP shill and Donnie Yen is a CCP member. Wow. I mean, I know that about Jackie Chan. I didn't know that about Donnie Yen. I understand that Johnny Yen like grew up in Boston, but that might not be true. Jackie Chan sold out to the institution. Yeah, I know. It's sad, but like his content is reflected in that. Vin Diesel says, "I am Christ." Oh, I get it. Like I am Groot.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Mark Hamill. There was like 5 seconds you could tell he was pissed about what happened in Star Wars. Then they took his balls. Well, I mean, even then he was still a lib, probably. Like if he bought into like the Trump stuff, then it doesn't matter like that he didn't care for what happened to Luke Skywalker. He couldn't connect those things anyways. So I can't find the biblical movie.
Yeah.
But I know Jim Caviezel's in it. Maybe I can look up his filmography.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to do.
Yeah, let me see. Jim Caviezel. He is in. Let's look at his IMDb really quick. So, oh, that's weird. I don't see it. I see Sound of Freedom and Sweetwater, but I don't see anything else. I thought for sure he was on some. Upcoming. It's under upcoming. That's it. Yeah. No, that's it. There's the thing isn't in here. I thought it was like
mistaken.
Huh?
I say perhaps I'm mistaken.
He's in. Okay, so he is in something called Zero AD, which is another story about Christ. I think it's about the nativity, but anyway, it's I know that Oscar. Well, let's do Mark Hamill because I know he's in it.
Right.
So we'll look real quick. I'm sorry, guys, if this is like a little bit of a. I'm normally better prepared, but I thought this was important. The King of Kings. Yeah, it's called The King of Kings, and he and Mark Hamill's doing the voice of Herod, King Herod. So this is it looks good. Like so they had I mean like in terms of the quality, you know, like they had done another show. It was like a very like. It was just called David, and it was about like the young David, when he's like a shepherd boy and before he like meets Goliath, and I think he becomes King David. I'm sorry, I'm not like bone up on my Old Testament stuff, but that looked really good. Like they got a lot of people that used to work at Pixar and DreamWorks that left those companies to come and work with Angel Studios to make this. So this is literally where the talent is going. And I think a lot of it has to do with the culture of Hollywood pushing people out, that don't have those views. I mean, I've talked to, I talked about my buddy Luke Weber, who used to work for Nickelodeon, and he wasn't even a political guy. So it's not like you have to have like a hard line stance on something.
No, just a penis.
You just, be a penis guy and not have like a strong opinion either way, like be kind of neutral. Right. So, so Pierce Brosnan does Pontius Pilate, and Kenneth Branagh does Charles Dickens. Oscar Isaac is voicing Jesus Christ in this.
Yeah.
So like some of these people, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are woke, but now they got to get work. They got to get work, right? So and at the end of the day, like if it's like, well, this is what people want. This comes out on Easter. It says April 11th for some reason, but Easter is the 20th. They got to get work. So now they have to toe the line, I guess. But like personally, I guess like at the end of the day, it comes down to like, do you care about an actor's politics if they're making the thing you like, or will that have an effect? I haven't decided on that yet because like, I know that most of the actors that I do like probably have opinions on things that I don't agree with, but they haven't like said anything. So if they're quiet about it, like Kurt Russell, for example, the only thing I know about Kurt Russell, who's one of my favorite actors, is that he's a super pro Second Amendment guy. He's like, loves guns, right? But defends guns like Clint Eastwood used to. I think Clint Eastwood still does. What's his name? The guy who passed away a long time ago. Very big actor. He was in the 10 Commandments. Why am I forgetting his name? Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Charlton Heston. Heston. So you can take it out of my cold dead hands, right? And I didn't need to know that, but it doesn't change like anything. But people like, like Mark Hamill, who's just been extremely vocal and cringe, or Rachel Zegler, or what's his name, the guy who played Finn, in the Star Wars sequels. It was going on about how white Star Wars is. Like I'm like, okay, well, I didn't think you were a super good actor to begin with, so now it's really easy for me to avoid your content. But yeah, that's Mark Hamill is he's in it, so I wouldn't I don't think I'm gonna support it. Even though I wouldn't mind checking it out. But there's another thing too, though, is that like I am a little bit exhausted by this kind of like, let's say, going the other way a bit strong, because you go on the one hand, it's like we have all this like woke, troon, feminist content, and people are like, I'm sick of that, and I'm one of them. Like, I'm sorry, but girl bosses, I'm bored. I don't need it anymore. G20, that's like the last straw. I don't know where you can go from there. Maybe the king of the universe is a woman, but they call her king anyways.
Right.
But yeah, that's like peak woke, okay? And I'm not gonna watch it, but you can overcorrect, or at least have this kind of like ridiculous concept of what the people who don't like your woke garbage actually do like, and then you make too much of that, and you don't even do it justice.
Right.
Will King of Kings do it justice? I don't know. It looks like it's for families, so it's another thing. Like, how did Pixar drop the ball on that? How did Disney drop the ball on that? Like, that was there for Pixar. That would have been a layup. Like that, all they made were hits up until like the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And so somebody else had to step in. And the ironic thing is, a lot of those people used to work at Disney. So, one movie title, Batman Lego. Yeah, veggie males. No, please. But anyway, so let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I wanted to also mention something else. I'm gonna have to look up the person I'm thinking of here. But the Fantastic Four movie is,
oh god, yes,
it doesn't look good, guys.
No, I wasn't planning on seeing it anyways, but all my suspicions were confirmed. It is going to be about gender identity politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to find let me see, movies and TV maybe. I want to find some kind of source for this. Let me just.
Richards is a cock.
What's the name?
Sue Storm is the.
Sue Storm is a girl boss.
Yep.
But what's the name of the actress that plays Sue Storm in this one? Let me just look it up.
I cannot recall.
Let me just look it up.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four: First Steps. Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah. Yeah. Say her name had something to do with Marvel.
Yeah.
Tangentially. Yeah.
She was in the one movie that I am looking forward to, which is the new Mission Impossible. She's in that. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the new Fantastic Four looks super mid at best. Well, it's cooked though. Like, it could have been something. But okay, so Vanessa Kirby, and not only the Invisible Woman, but also Johnny Storm. But let's look at this first. Let me see. I'm gonna find some images here to put on the screen, so you guys got like an idea of who we're talking about. So see, Google. Let's say large, and I'm just gonna put her picture up on the screen so you guys can see it. So. Oh, that's way too small. Come on. Okay. So here we go. Share that. And okay. So Vanessa Kirby, who plays Sue Storm / the Invisible Woman in the Fantastic Four: First Steps. So they had to give it some kind of additional subtitle. They're calling it First Steps, just so it's not confused with the Fantastic Four movie from like
Fan4 Stick.
Or Fan4 Stick, yes. God, I didn't even watch Fan4 Stick. I was like, nah.
No.
And the other two, the ones with like Ian Graffood or whatever and Chris Evans, I didn't hate them. They're okay. I have them on DVD. They're okay. And I think they're probably gonna be the best that they, other than the Roger Corman ones, which I actually really want to watch because I've never seen them.
As time has gone by, that has been ultimately the most more accurate.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I'd never seen it, but I'd like to watch it. I'd like to watch. So if you guys know a way that I can watch the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie,
I'll see if I can source it from Switzerland or something.
So Vanessa Kirby, pictured here, has revealed that her portrayal of the character of Sue Storm / the Invisible Woman draws inspiration from her villainous alter ego Malice. Kirby stated that she kept some elements of Malice in her character to avoid the stereotype of a goody sweet mother and to showcase the complexity of femininity. That's a red fucking flag, okay?
Oh, God, that is.
The complexity of femininity. Dude, be afraid. She also emphasized the importance of updating Sue Storm's character to reflect modern gender politics, ensuring she is not perceived as a doormat as she might have been in the 1960s. Have you read the comics? That is not true. Sue Storm was definitely feminine and she was definitely motherly, but she wasn't a doormat.
No.
Like if I had earplugs, the feminists get back out of the kitchen. Yeah. So okay. So I'll make a prediction because I don't think anyone else has made this prediction. I'm going to make a prediction. So the film Fantastic Four takes place in the 1960s. And that's when the comics came out. And I think that's a good move. I think that what I would have done with a lot of these movies is I would have done that. Like they did it with Captain America. Like Captain America, the first one takes place during World War II. And it's one of my favorite Marvel movies. And then like, you know, at the end he comes to the present. And I was like, that's perfect, right? That's how you do it. And they did a good job with that. But what I think they're going to do with this is that they're going to present a straw man feminist version of what the 1960s was like.
Yeah.
Which is basically Mad Men. It's going to be like a super chauvinistic anti-woman environment. And she is going to be like, you know, laying down the law. Like she's just going to be like not standing for it. She's going to be girl bossing all of the sexist 60s dudes. And yeah, I think Mr. Fantastic is probably just going to go along with it. Like a cuck. He's going to be cucked and not at all assertive. Now in the books, the thing about Reed Richards that people miss is that he was like, he wasn't mean, obviously. He was like really distracted because he was a nerd. He was like super intelligent and constantly thinking about things and overanalyzing things. And one of the reasons why the Fantastic Four was so popular was because Stan Lee wrote all of the characters as flawed people with their own issues, right? And some of them had a hubris to them as well.
And
I mean,
honestly, that was part of the whole thing about Sue Storm is like because she was so feminine and you know just
she was like the
top
anchor.
tier. Yeah, like that's the thing that could get Richard out of his head for a minute and actually just be like, oh yeah, I'm still a man. Look at this hottie right here, you know, like yeah, I could think about all this stuff and fixing the world's problems, but also at the same time, that's a hot lady, you know.
Yeah. So they're gonna introduce some gender politics in it, and they're gonna give her an update. So and of course, Sue's gonna be like a girl boss. She's gonna be the head of the Future Foundation, which has achieved global demilitarization and peace, highlighting her leadership and influence. So that's already going in. They're going to be doing that. They're basically going to wokeify it. Now, what about Joseph Quinn, who plays the Human Torch? He also said some things as
he's going to be a flamer. For sure.
I don't know about that. Is that right?
Flame on.
Dude, are they going to make him gay? That would be crazy. They did it to Iceman,
they are
you know?
saying how they want to get rid of the Playboy kind of aspect of the character. And yeah, so
Joseph
may not openly gay, but I think there will at least be hints.
Joseph Quinn, who plays Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, a fan favorite character from the comics, like of all time. Like the FF are all fan favorites. I've always been like, I always like the Thing and Reed. But anyway, Quinn noted that his version of Johnny Storm is less callous with others' feelings and more self-aware about his attention-seeking behavior, contrasting with previous iterations that were often portrayed as womanizing and devil-may-care characters. So there, he's just not gonna be. He's not gonna be Johnny Storm anymore.
No.
Like how are you gonna how can you do that? Like you don't like didn't it, I mean like it's basically just Tony Stark anyway. But how could you do that? That's wild, bro. Okay, but anyway, here is Joseph Quinn who's playing Johnny Storm. So yeah, I think the FF is cooked, guys.
Yeah,
that's basically what I'm saying. I think the FF is cooked.
Yeah,
and
this is also set in a parallel reality so that they can bring them all together to bring them to whatever will be the thing that exists after they do their silly Avengers, Doom plans, and this is, they're effectively setting up Battle World, and they can't call it Secret Wars because they already did a Secret Wars series where they completely cucked, Samuel L. Jackson, and just completely ruined that character too, even though he was already critically damaged with the little kitty scratching his eye out. I've given up entirely. I don't watch Marvel movies anymore. I don't. People were like, "Oh, but Daredevil, it's so much better." It's like, better for who? Better for getting you into the door because they went and said, "Oh, we'll get all the writers from the original series," but they still set about doing all the stuff. And Kingpin gets cucked. His wife is a better Kingpin than the Kingpin. They make some statements to that in the series. It's just, it's never getting better. And anybody that's trying to convince themselves that somehow Disney's making this, change away from what brought it to the shit state that it's in are effectively the same people that are trying to carry water for, Nintendo charging way too much for their console and their games. It's like, how much work and heavy lifting do you have to do for the corporation that gives no fucks about you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, like you said, I kind of I checked out a while ago on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the old movies, like I still like them, I own them, but I don't like Daredevil. I have the first 3 seasons on DVD. I can watch them whenever I want, and I think those were damn good television.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's it for that. So we got a little bit of time. I guess let's do some cake.
Indeed.
And
see where Schedule One's at.
See what we should definitely look at that. So I do have we'll look at trailers after, but let's look at, because I want to show all the trailer. I got to get really nerdy on this one because it's something I've been waiting for a long time, but I'll come back to it. So let's see Schedule 1 and see how we're doing on that game. So let me share this screen really quick. And here we go. So this is Schedule 1, currently in game 270,631. Wow. And everyone is loving it. The positives 97.14% on Steam. And by the way, some people will tell you that Steam numbers are not reliable numbers, like they're not good numbers. They're probably the best numbers that you can get because a lot of people are playing on Steam. I think that console sales, maybe excluding the Switch, only because the Nintendo Switch has more exclusives on it than the Xboxes and the PlayStations. Maybe excluding that, but like most people play on their PCs, which is why, I think you should get a Steam Deck if you're thinking about it, because I'm probably going to get one.
That, and if you do video editing, Steam Decks are amazing for production work. Like they just are built for it. Like I mean, you and I, we have art school backgrounds. All the systems that we used, render farms and that, I can more effectively do the work that I used to utilize a computer lab for, just here, right at my desk with this nice simple machine. It's all open source software. It doesn't cost me anything to optimize it. Just go into desktop mode and it just works. Yeah, it's great.
Let's look at another game. Let's see Assassin's Creed Shadows. We make a comparison with that. It's not even coming up here. Where's Assassin's Creed Shadows at, guys?
They're hiding the numbers. There it is, all the way down to the bottom.
We're at the bottom. 20,000. Okay.
Oof.
That's not good considering the I know that people say, well, like, you know, it's a single player game. Once you're done, you stop playing. Yeah, that's not good. I don't think it was ever like really like, look, it peaked at what, 64,000?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That is not good.
And there's so many fetch
Mm-mm.
quests and this and that, like, you know, side little haunts and this, you know, like there are people that could still be playing it if they're trying to get, you know, achievement trophies and all that kind of wonderful stuff. But the drop off, it's too insulting as you're going
Mhm.
through it. Yeah, you'd have to be really dyed in the wool. Like, I'm here for all things Assassin's Creed, which Assassin's Creed's not even for Assassin's Creed these days.
Yeah.
You know, it dropped
Yep.
its narrative thread a long time ago, and now it's just kind of like Madden action, you know, adventure.
Let's see. South of Midnight. Okay, so this game is actually on GeForce Now. I think they made it available in a number of different ways. They try to promote it, and
Yeah.
only 997 people are playing. This is
Game
it
Pass game.
peaked. It peaked in at 1,039. The 1,000. Yeah, the peak is 1,142. That is pathetic. Holy cow! Again, the game might not be bad, but no one's buying it. So, you know, I don't know what the story is. I don't know if it's woke. It probably has some of that, but nobody wanted to buy Kim
It certainly is. It is actually
game.
Yes, it's about the traumas of the civil rights struggle and
the struggle.
Yeah.
Hey, black
and
people
and
who
the
watch
pain and
our
the pain that
show.
lasts from that. Throughout
The intergenerational trauma. Hey,
Yes.
black people that watch our show, how much more of this do you want to put up with? Like, how many more things aimed at you are always about the struggle? Do you really want that to be your entire identity? Like, because I don't.
60 years later, you're still a victim.
I don't want that at all. Like, as a Latino guy, I don't give a fuck about whatever the history is. I don't care. I don't need it. I'm not watching movies about La Raza. I'm not interested. Like, I just, you know, I want good stories. I don't care. But it seems like the people who are the biggest advocates, and they take this from Hollywood. That's where they get it from, because that's what Hollywood does. Every movie that has black people in it, it's got to be about the struggle. It doesn't matter what time period. It could be a science fiction in the far-flung future. There has to be a reference to the struggle. There has to be. And it's like, it's so lazy and boring, and it's kind of insulting. You should be insulted at that.
Anytime you see a Kim Bel-Air avatar gracing the cover of your screen, you know, or the box art, avoid, because that's what this is. They fired a black woman for not sounding black enough. She was because originally it was going to be a white character. They
I know.
Took that out, put in they hired this other lady, and then they fired her because she didn't have, you know, enough blackness. So, you know, it's just wow. Insanity.
Yeah. Unknown 9 Awakening has less than 9 people playing it. It's got 5 players. Yikes.
It looks like it topped out at 285.
Oh yeah, sure. What was the story game, Bloomin' Rage or something like that?
Oh yes, Bloomin' Rage, yeah.
Is that what it's called? Bloomin' Rage? Why isn't it showing up? Oh, Lost Records. There it is.
There it is. Lost Records, Bloomin' Rage, yeah.
199 people are playing this. Zering says, I avoided Netflix's Luke Cage because I was tired of the struggle messaging. I can watch movies from the late 80s and 1990s if I want it done better. Heck, I also avoided Black Lightning on the CW. Yes. I was so disappointed in like the Netflix. So the Netflix put out the 4 shows, right? Daredevil. I don't know if I got this in the right order, but it's Daredevil, the one with the chick. I don't even remember the name of the character. Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And Daredevil was the only one that got it right. I was like, how could you not get Luke Cage right? How could you not get Iron Fist right? They fucked it up. I didn't give a shit about the other character. I didn't give a shit about her. But how do you get them wrong? And they did. It was like, oh man, it was bad.
It was Jessica Jones. I could be wrong.
Jessica Jones. Yeah, Jessica Jones. That's right. Yeah, that she sucks. Not a good character. Not even likable. Like it was like as likable as She-Hulk, probably. Like maybe a bit more, but I don't think so. I did not care for her at all because it was the same thing. Like Jessica Jones was all about the struggle for a woman. Like it was basically the woman's struggle. And if she's like the most powerful character on the show, yet the biggest victim, that didn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, and then Iron Fist, like by all rights, could have been better because it didn't have the, it didn't have like the woke bullshit attached to it. Because what are you gonna do with a white dude? So it just wasn't done well. Like the fighting sucked, the story sucked. Like they didn't have a good enemy. Like it just wasn't well done at all. And then he ends up getting overshadowed by Colleen Wing by the end of it, and it's like, what? She's a side character. No, they can't have that. Anyway, that sucked, man. It just wasn't a good. It just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. Although I believe Iron Fist did go on to stop Jordan Neely from murdering people on the train and almost went to jail for it. But I may be getting confused for somebody else. Anyway, what's next here that I should look up? What's another game that we're curious about? You want to look up? Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything at the moment.
Well, I think that's a new. I think that Space Marine's getting a new DLC soon.
Oh. Yeah, that's right.
I think it is Space Marine 2. Let me see. 6,000. So yeah, it's dying off now, unfortunately. But it did. I think when the new DLC comes out, it'll probably see a spike in activity. And of course, Space Marine 3 is in development. So
yeah, there was this game that was nonstop mentioned at the BAFTAs that I'm interested in actually knowing legit sales numbers. It's called Thank Goodness You're Here.
It's a game?
Yes. There
it is. Thank goodness you're here. 49 people. So it's woke trash then.
Yeah. That's what I assumed.
Yeah, okay. Wow. As a traveling salesman, take the time
I was
to see
calling
the
it
sites and meet the locals.
Thank gayness you're queer all night.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It peaked at 685 people. We're not giving it its proper respects.
Right.
Zarek says the guy who played Danny Rand had literally no training. My 10 lessons in karate would have made me perform better in Iron Fist. Why? Well, what about the guy who played Daredevil? Did he have training? I think he did. Cox, his name is Cox, right?
Yeah.
Charlie Cox. Yep. And or if not, they had a stuntman doing, because he's wearing a mask half the time, so it could be anybody. But that's ridiculous that you wouldn't like put in the work for that. Like it's ridiculous. You know what? There was a show. Man, what's the name of it? There was a show. It was a very weird show that had it looked like a Wild West show with a lot of martial arts in it. And it was a very strange, I think it was kind of like a steampunk setting or something.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what is the name of that show? And it came out around the same time or maybe a little bit earlier than Iron Fist. And I watched it and I was like, the fighting in it was awesome. Like it was like a kung fu flick, because kung fu flicks from the 70s and 80s, they were made on shoestring budgets in Hong Kong.
Right.
No, not Walker, Texas Ranger. No, it had a bunch of Asian actors in it and stuff, and they were flying around on wires. It was wire kung fu on a TV show, which is a no brainer. I don't know why no one ever did that, and because it's not expensive, and really if you can shoot it correctly, you don't even really need martial arts masters to make it look good, because all of kung fu flicks is choreography, right? So anyone who's doing a dance routine would be able to pull it off. No, not Hell on Wheels. No, not that.
I got a long time ago.
It wasn't on Netflix. It was on it was on FX or something. It was on another channel. Let me. I'm gonna look it up. You guys, look up. Give me another movie or another game that you want me to look up while I look this up.
Yeah,
martial arts TV show. It's like a wuxia show almost. It's like a wuxia. Mm-hmm. So I'll do that. I think it was on FX channel.
Yeah, I vaguely know what I just can't think of the name of it right now. But Gary was talking about it. It was fairly popular.
Gabriel. It's killing me that I don't remember. But
was it Shanghai?
No, it didn't have a Chinese name. It had a weird, it was AMC maybe, I don't know, but I think it was FX.
Well,
Gabriel
good.
Phelan Lucas says, "Thank goodness You're Here isn't woke. I beat it. It's just an English comedy game styled after old English comedy shows. Sexuality isn't brought up, and most characters are white English." Oh, okay.
That's good. All right.
I
Neat
no
Scholar
idea.
says he bought the game. Not amazing.
I bought that game. Thank goodness You're Here. Not amazing. Okay. Shogun. No, it's not Shogun. Shogun's great though. That's good TV. That's like some of the rare. It was like the Wildlands or something lands, Borderlands, Badlands, something like that. Let me see. I think it's Badlands. Let me see. Badlands.
I vaguely remember a show being
TV
called
show.
Badlands.
Yeah, Into the Badlands. Into the Badlands is an American wuxia television series that aired from November 15, 2015 to May 6, 2019. So it was a while back.
Yeah.
It was on AMC. The series created by Alfred Goh and Miles Millar is set in a dystopian future where a feudal society is ruled by rival barons who control resources and enforce their rule with the help of trained assassins known as Clippers. The show combines elements of action, drama, and science fiction, featuring intricate martial arts sequences and a compelling character-driven story. It looked really good. Like I watched the first episode. It's called Into the Badlands.
Yep.
I watched the first episode.
Now I recall.
And it may have been one of those things like, if you get like into a new show, right, and they want to promote it, they'll make the first episode really good and then they'll slow it way down after that. So it might have been one of those things, but the first episode was pretty badass. So anyway, let's get back to I don't know if I can think of any more. So we got to wrap it up, but I do have one trailer I want to show you guys for something. So in case you don't know, I am a stan for one anime right now, one anime, and that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And it's a multi-generational show with a very cool premise. Araki is like the craziest Japanese guy I've ever, and they have announced, because right now in Japan it's JoJo Day, and they dedicate all of April to JoJo there, and we're getting a teaser for Steel Ball Run, which is the 7th chapter of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the anime. And yes, they are finally animating this, and it's gonna be something. I think there's not much in this, but I want to show it off anyway. 30 seconds. That's it. That's all you get. Dude, I'm pumped. This is like, I read this manga. This is probably his best written story. Now, there is a part 8 that finished, and he's currently doing part 9. I don't know anything about it. But Steel Ball Run, as I designed a shirt based on one of the characters that sometimes I wear on the shows. I'm not wearing it today, but maybe you'll see it, and yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited for Steel Ball Run. I don't know when it's coming. They haven't said anything about that. So usually if you get the trailer, the show probably won't come out for like another year. And it's also a very long part. So I hope they don't cut anything out of it. And it involves all I will say is it's basically like a horse race across the country. And it involves like dinosaurs and Jesus's body parts and the president of the United States. It's absolutely insane. Like it's so crazy, but it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite parts in all of it. And I love all of them. I love all the parts. So if you've never seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's probably a good idea. If you're interested in checking it out, I would try to watch it. Watch it from the very beginning, even though like some of the earlier chapters or the earlier stories are not as good as they get better. And there's like different people have different opinions on different. Well, every arc has its own like feel to it. So some people like certain arcs better than others because the feels, it has like a slightly different vibe. Like the first one is very straightforward shonen stuff, but it also has like some horror elements in it, and there's like vampires, and it's it's just but it's very like the hero is very heroic, but you need to watch the first one to get to the others, and the second one's got more humor and it's really out there, and they only get weirder actually. But I don't want to give anything away. All I'm saying is that check out JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and all 6 of the first story arcs are out. You can probably find them online somewhere and just check them out, because Steel Ball Run's going to kick ass, and it helps to like have watched the previous ones, but you don't have to, because Steel Ball Run is kind of like a restart of the story, but it'd be nice to check it out. But anyway, I got to wrap it up here though. Thanks, John, for coming on the show. Where can people find you?
Immediately today I'm got the day off from here, which is nice. So I'll probably be prepping for tomorrow's Sunday cosplay with Toasty, which of course we do that 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific throughout the week. Current schedule is Sundays through Tuesdays, then Thursdays and Fridays. Of course, tomorrow we are bringing back Who TF Live for the duration of this new abysmal season. So that is my homework for today, as I actually, unfortunately, do have to watch that terrible show. Other than that, of course, here with you every weekend on Saturday, and then on Fridays, I'm only doing reality-based 1 day a week now on Fridays for the Old White Road, immediately preceding what we do on Toasty's channel. But other than that, you can always find me on the FFS Discord. If you're interested in following me to there, just go to look for @problematic_John on X, or look for Problematic White Guy, and there's a pinned link right at the top of my profile. If you're a new content creator and trying to find your way into these things, that's generally the premise of the Discord that we have over there. And like I said, we are working on an initiative to make it easier to track Rumble channels, and I'm doing everything I can to effectively, promote Rumble. Thank you for the people who followed me today. I'm now up to 60 out of my 100. I'm hoping that I can actually hit 100 before I get everything moved over and set up for the re-debut in the next 2 months. So I can hopefully hit the ground running and get myself being a content creator fairly rapidly. But with that said, thank you everybody who took time to join us here for the show today, regardless what platform you're watching on. But you are always most definitely welcome here on Rumble, where it's far more beneficial to the creators and the audience and everyone involved, I would say. But with that said, as I often do at the end of these things, safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful weekend going forward. Be awesome as always.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. I know it was a lot. I had a lot on my mind and I didn't even get to everything. Yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. And if you're able to, just let's try to make Rumble happen. So if you could follow me there and watch the videos there. I noticed that this time around, more people watch on Rumble than any other platform. And that is awesome. So that'd be great if you guys could do that, because I think it might justify me moving away from YouTube completely. But with that said, please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Wink in Culture, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say, we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life. Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.